Hallo und herzlich willkommen zur mittlerweile dritten Ausgabe von Drink at Home mit den Bierlovers, zu einer Live-Verkostung. Heute Abend habe ich einen sehr speziellen Gast. Der ist für viele sehr schwer zu greifen, sehr schwer zu finden, aber er ist meinem Ruf gefolgt und war sofort mit an Bord und hat gesagt, okay, ich mache diese Verkostung mit dir. Es ist mir ein großes Anliegen, mit meinen österreichischen Freunden, mit der österreichischen Community in Kontakt zu kommen in diesen schwierigen Zeiten. Und wir werden das heute, der Ablauf wird der gleiche sein wie bei den letzten Malen. Für diejenigen, die zum ersten Mal dabei sind, ihr habt in eurer Box einen Verkostungsplan bekommen, ein Verkostungssheet mit Beschreibungen zu den Bieren dazu, die euch gleichzeitig auch den Ablauf der Verkostung zeigen. Und heute wird es nur so sein, wir werden das auf Englisch, Deutsch mit Händen und Füßen. Ich bin mir sicher, der Vasja hat ein paar deutsche Wörter auf Lager, die er uns ganz einfach präsentieren wird. Und ich vielleicht ein paar kroatisch-slowenische, ex-jugoslawische. Schauen wir mal, wie wir zusammenkommen. Aber now, first of all, I want to say good evening, Mr. Vasja.
Hey, guten Abend.
Guten Abend, Vasja. It's a pleasure to have you here for this tasting, because I already talked to the people and told them, you're a person which is often really hard to reach, and maybe, or I'm pretty sure that most of the listeners don't have a face to Bevog. And so I want to say, let's start and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about the person, Vasja Golar, about the brand, why, when you started to brew, how the idea came to set up the brewery in Austria and then in Slovenia. So yeah, I would say it's your stage now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty hard to reach because I do many things in the brewery. So I'm all over and I travel also a lot. We export a lot, so for us it's not just Austrian market, Slovenian market. We have Italy, we have Norway, we have many different countries, and so you got to divide your time between everything, and then you have to make all the recipes, be in the brewery, follow the production. I am a lot also connected to design. I can't draw or whatever, but I always describe what kind of design I want to have, and yeah, maybe searching for an artist or new kind of things that I want to have. Also some technical improvements in the process. So it's really a lot of stuff that I like to be involved in the brewery because I really like the whole thing about brewing. And brewery, sometimes I don't like paperwork, and I don't really like to sell people, to sell beer. I mean, to sell beer to people, because I can talk about beer, but sometimes I'm not the best to sell it. I don't know. So yeah, that's kind of my thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell us when you started with Bevog. How old is Bevog now in 2020? And when you came up with the idea maybe to start brewing, how does this happen?
So I started brewing in 2009. I was just first I was just interested how beer is made. So I literally Googled how beer is made. And I still remember it was how beer is made, and I pressed enter. And then I realized there are many homebrew shops, homebrew forums, homebrew books, and you can even buy equipment and ingredients. So I started to read about, and I was immediately hooked. And I remember I was in my office in my parents' company at that time, I was bored. Actually, it was kind of summertime. It was not like season to sell equipment that we were selling in this company, and I had time, so I took some time from the company to investigate how beer is made, and then I was investigating the whole evening, and then next day, and I think 3 days later I ordered malt meal and first 2 or 3 books from USA. 2009, it was not that easy to find that kind of equipment also in Europe. Now it's more easy. We are still talking about 11 years ago, not even, and it was such a different place, the Europe and the craft beer scene and what kind of stuff you can get. So later I discovered I can buy some books even from German university, for instance, or I can buy books from UK and for sure Amazon, but I don't buy stuff from Amazon. Okay, whatever. It's but now everything is much more easy, and I'm happy that it's like that, because I think homebrewing is really a cool hobby. But I was really soon I realized I don't want to be just a home brewer. I want to be a brewer, because at that point I was about 25, 26 year old, and I was not really a guy for the office. I wanted to make something with my hands, and it was really interesting for me that you make something and then you need another organism to ferment it, and all these changes in kind of chemical, physical, and biological aspect of it was so interesting. So many things are going on at once. So it was really interesting to me. So that's, I fell in love with the love on a first sight, but my love is still going, and that's my story. I explained this story many times, maybe always in a bit different way, but that's the way it is now.
Yeah, but it's always good to hear these stories, and I'm pretty sure there are some guys which heard the story for the first time. So there's already a question. Werner is asking, who makes the lovely designs for Bevog?
Yeah, so we have more than one designer. So for our regular line, that's stock, did, so, and so on. This monster kind of line, it's one guy from Croatia and another guy from New York. There are two artists. Actually, for Zo was the guy from New York. I forgot his name, but Croatian guy is Filip Burburan, and he's from Rijeka, really cool guy, but they didn't have time at that point. So we searched for another artist, and then he made the picture for Zo. This Croatian artist Filip he really works a lot for matching the gathering cards and all sorts of stuff, even some development of creatures for some video games and stuff like that. And then for Who Cares, we made it kind of more on our own. Or better to say, a friend of mine, she's artist, and for Who Cares, I knew we need a bit faster design. So not that complex that we have to wait for 2-3 months to get the picture. So we got to be fast. That sometimes we are really in a rush. You know me, Markus, and many people doesn't know how it's hard to work with us sometimes because so many things are going on. And we are not really a big number of people working on our brewery. So and so we have a bit simpler design, but it's always a lot of fun to make it. We always go crazy. Sometimes there are some hidden things in the label. Sometimes people see even too much hidden things in the label. That's already happened once, but okay, let's put it aside. But yeah, it's always fun to make it, and just a friend of mine, she make black outlines, and then we paint it in our in the brewery. My colleague, just desk next to me, he then creates put together the label.
Okay.
And yeah, also now we have the newest beer is our Nitro.
But we will come to this beer later.
Yeah.
I'll talk about this beer.
Then we have another designer. So.
Okay. Yeah,
it's a new one. So yeah, with everyone it's really cool to work, but everyone has its own way. It's not who is better or whatever, but it just, yeah, you know, I like and I appreciate artists from all sorts. Is it musician or artist with something from clay, or you know, all the handy people, and I appreciate all the farmers and everything in between, you know. So
Vasja?
you hear me? Hello?
Hello? Now it's, we lost you a little bit, you know, the connection was not really good. But now I think it works again.
Oh, okay. So, yeah,
Vasja?
I think we got to appreciate many kinds of arts, and therefore, sometimes it's hard to say what is better and what is worse. It's just art as it is, and so you can appreciate many stuff. So, that's what I want to say.
I would say, you know, we're going to start with the first beer, because I'm pretty sure that many people are already a little bit thirsty, because it's Wednesday evening, 12 minutes past 7. So, Vasja, start with the first beer. The first beer will be tonight.
So for the first
this
beer,
little, small, nice baby.
It's this. So it's fourth beer in a row that we ever made. It's a golden ale. The idea was to make flavorful beer, but very easy to drink. Nothing too crazy about it. It's pretty simple. Malt bill, Pilsner malt, a bit of Munich, I think, and that's it in the malt. And then we have 4 different hops. It's some hops are from Slovenia, States, USA, and Australia. We better open it. So. I have a bit special glass for the occasion.
That's Vasja himself, and I'm also prepared for this tasting, so I also got.
So this is a special glass. I bought it in Belgium when I was actually working as a trainee very near to. Cheers.
Yes.
You have a special device? Put it in.
Perfect.
Save. So I bought it in Belgium, and I was working in a brewery on the border with France. Or not so much on the border. I had to drive 1.5 hours away, but at that time it was not easy to buy beer over internet or whatever. So I drive to Belgium to buy beer, and I also bought this glass because at that time it seems to me, oh, that's really cool glass. The beer was okay and everything, but yeah, the glass is really clear. Yeah. Hello? You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Where did it? Okay. So whatever. The glass I bought in Belgium, it's cool.
Okay, so, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, let's do the tasting. So as you can see, it's very pale color. It looks a bit like some kind of hoppy pilsner. It has a bit of haziness inside. There is actually quite a bit of hops in this beer, more than people would guess. Do you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
At the moment, it's okay.
Yeah, you know, I live a bit in the hills, and it's sometimes internet connection is bad. And it's really drinkable, kind of pale golden ale. Yeah, I was not study as a sommelier, so sometimes it's hard to me to find the right words, but you can smell everything from lychee to some zest of citrus.
Mm-hmm.
You can smell nice, really subtle, kind of grainy, very noble malt we use for this beer. You can even find some like grape juice aroma, you know, like from, I don't know, not like Traminer or something, or maybe something kind of Riesling, I don't know. And yeah, just very drinkable beer, not too demanding to drink. Before we had our lager, now that we won't present today, but it was the beer that I was drinking all the time when I was by the bar. So one of my favorite beer for sure. And Zo, for instance, also kind of similar. I like to drink that kind of beer. A bit more than one maybe, and it's too suitable for the occasion for sure. So yeah, people can see it's 4.8% alcohol, and yeah, if anyone have questions for this beer, I'm here to answer.
Vasja?
Do you hear? Yeah.
We cannot hear you.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Now?
Now you're coming back, but the connection at the moment is really, really bad.
Just a second.
Yes.
Look at the beer that time.
So, jetzt müssen wir kurz warten auf den Vasja. Wir haben ein bisschen heute zum ersten Mal ein paar Schwierigkeiten mit der Verbindung, aber ich bin mir sicher.
Hey, is it better?
Einzugehen. Ja, ist retour.
Is it better? We can also try to change the connection. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, then maybe let's try again.
Yeah, there's already a question coming. It's not coming for this beer, but Veronica asks if there is a lady working at the brewery, maybe also at the brew process or in the office, or how is the team built in the brewery around Bevog?
Yeah, for the time we have pretty much more guys than girls. We have 2 girls in the brewery out of 14, 1-4, 14.
14?
Yeah, and yeah, the main reason is, you know, it's even hard to find people from brewing industry that are men in Bad Radkersburg, you know. What to find girls in beer. So I think it's changing. Also, craft beer is helping with that kind of stuff. And, you know, beer brewing was not that appealing when we were starting. So for us, it was even hard to find employees, whatever the employees is. And therefore, that's why, yeah, we don't have more girls, but yeah, hopefully soon we will have more. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but you gotta understand that yeah, in Bad Radkersburg it's more like a rural area with vineyards and so on. it's not like brewing is a big thing around our area. And yeah, we have now interest from some people to work in the brewery, but no, we didn't hire new people since 2 or 3 years, because we didn't need anyone new. So you know, when we expanded our brew capacity, we also invested something into optimization of how we work and some bigger machines. And now, yeah, it's the number we have. And this Corona is not really helping to anything. Yeah.
Okay.
To hire new people. I mean.
Next question is also not for Dietz, but it's a question coming out, you know, can you tell us a little bit of the story of Haga?
Yeah, for sure. So we started to work on Hager, I think, in 2013. I don't even know. I think 13. And my idea was to make a barrel-aged beer. I didn't want to go to Imperial Stout. I really liked the idea of something close to Imperial Stout, but still remain kind of very strong ale. So I named it kind of barley wine at that time. And I think it's still a pretty good style selection for the beer. So it's very heavy and complex malt bill of Hager. We have malts from Belgium, Germany, and UK. There are, I think, 9 different malts.
Okay.
There is just one hop variety. It's Slovenian Aurora. And yeah, it's pretty demanding beer to make because it's that strong. So the original gravity is 26 Plato, or 27 even. And then we put it into bourbon or whiskey barrels, and we keep it in these barrels for different kind of time. So we are not putting in just what we've done 1 year, but maybe we mix also something older into the blend, and that's why we call it blend. And after but the average age is a bit like 1 year and something. And then when we know now already when the time is right, we start to take samples every month, and then we see the character of the beer, and then we see when we are ready to take it from the barrels. And we also select the barrels, so we take from every barrel, we make numbers on the barrels, we make the tasting notes, I make it, and then I mix these barrels. You know, these barrels can be very different from barrel to barrel. Sometimes you have a bad barrel, this one goes to drain. Sometimes you have like a bit different barrel or weird barrel that you see have a potential. And then you take maybe just a little bit of this one to the whole blend, and then you get a new taste. And that's how we build up the whole flavor picture. So it's not just blending all together that we've made, it's just selected the best and what is interesting. So sometimes we have a lot of barrels that are not cool, but with years, with every year we learned, because there is not a book how to age the beer, okay? I don't know if there is already once. Maybe you can find something for wild beer, but not like bourbon barrel aging and stuff like that. So we are more like learning by doing, whatever our feeling is kind of dictating us how to do. And now with each year we are better and better. Also how to keep the barrels, where to keep it. Is it better that the temperature go up and down, or is it more stable, or the humidity of the place, and so on. So this year, when we were tasting barrels, because we've made the most Hager we've ever made, it was actually in the same room, but on a different side of the room. And when I was tasting the beer, I realized it's different from one side to other side of the room. And that's why then we said, okay, we have enough of this beer this year. Maybe we can make 2 blends. Maybe people will realize it's interesting to taste the difference, whatever you can get from the same room, but just maybe humidity a bit different. Maybe the temperature was somewhere on one edge a bit more stable, on the other not that much. And that's really interesting. So it's not like a huge difference, but there is a difference, and some people will find it. Yeah? And I said, yeah, why not? Because, you know, it's a craft brewing, and for sure people are really interested what's going on and when we make beer and what kind of stuff we are tasting. And so very demanding.
Question, but this year was the first time that you released 2 different kind of lagers. It's the first year, huh?
Yeah, because it was the first time that we released kind of same batch, same time, but it was from different barrels. Also, some barrels that were older are different a bit in this blend, but it didn't have that much of a big impact as just the position of the barrels.
Okay. There's a question coming out. What are you using, infusion or decoction, when it comes to cheers?
Cheers, Prost.
Prost.
We use infusion.
Okay.
But step infusion.
Step infusion.
Yeah, we can do decoction. We still didn't try. Maybe one day, maybe not. I don't know. There are many different aspects on brewing and why decoction and why not. I think, yeah, sometimes story is better than the result. So sometimes it could be a beneficial, but we didn't try the decoction. So, yeah. Political answer.
Yeah, it's good. Vasja, next year.
What?
We can go to the next beer.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So next beer, I have my cooler.
Yeah. You're prepared.
So next beer is Statt. It's you know, this one. It's 5.5% beer. I have a special glass. It's a very legendary glass. This was actually the second glass that we ever made, and it's a bit different than it's now. So Prost, you hear me?
Prost.
So pale ale. Yeah. When I was doing this beer recipe on it, by the way, it used to be pretty different beer that it was on the beginning of our brewery. You know, with the brewery also my taste and idea what I want to do was changing and growing. You know, it's kind of getting grown up beer drinker. Okay.
Okay.
So in the beginning it was more caramelized malt inside, a bit less hops. So over the time we were modifying a bit recipe, but we have now the same recipe for at least 1.5 years, I think.
Okay.
Because I think everything is now very balanced. You have enough maltiness, you have this kind of rich malty thing going with some really nice and citrusy fresh hops. You have even a bit of kind of bit of biscuity thing going in the background. When you drink it, it's very pleasant. It's very drinkable. Yeah, I think it's really cool beer. It's the best-selling beer for us, and there is reason, because it's so nice and drinkable. You can have a few pints. It's not like too easygoing. You have enough flavor, so you can have just 1 pint, or you can have 10 pints. So yeah, it's a really cool beer. It's also because we are from Bad Radkersburg. Yeah, Rad, okay, that's Rad, and that's the sign of the Radkersburg. And we've made that sign on the pale ale because I knew this will be our bestseller, to thank to Bad Radkersburg that they kind of embraced us into their environment and so on. So that's also an interesting story. Also, like this pale ale, he's located kind of in Austria. He's kind of crazy Austrian. You know, you got to imagine, I was creating this beer 9 or some 8 years ago, and also the label, it was done more than a year before we had the beer, you know. So I said, yeah, this will be completely something new in Austria. Let's make a kind of crazy Austrian running around with this Radkersburg wheel, and so.
There's a question, Vasja.
Yeah.
Anya is asking, is TAC the most commercial beer, or the most best-selling beer? Maybe she didn't hear it before.
It's yeah, we sell the most of it, you know. So we sell a lot of it as a draft beer, and a lot of cans. It's the best seller in cans and in kegs. So yeah, it's our best seller. You know, as I started, I'm not the best in paperwork, so I don't really know which one makes us the most money, because I mean, makes the most money, makes most of bills, to call it.
Okay.
Which pays the bills, but for sure, because we sell the most of it, it could be it brings the most money for all sorts of bills, and also for our really cool employees, with which we have really cool relations. So that also we can explain a bit later how we work in the brewery. So
there's another question coming. Philip is asking, back to Dietz, you know, his son is asking, what is the name on the animal of the Dietz can? Name for this animal?
It's Dietz.
It's Dietz is the name.
Ah, yeah.
Dietz is the name. Okay.
So when we take names, or when I want to have a new name, first of all, when we design these labels for Monster line, what I did, I described beer to the artist. So he make a sketch according to this description. So description went like, how strong is the beer? What is the color? How many hops? What kind of aroma? You know, some ideas, maybe some colors that I had in mind. And then he just, according to this description, made some sketches. And then we talked, and I said, okay, this is the coolest. I want to keep artists as free as possible, so I'm not interfering for all the shit. And then he makes a picture, and then we get the picture, and then I named it after I had the picture, because I see it. And when I see, for instance, Dietz, he's kind of crazy guy. He's actually, it used to be Kölsch. That's also a cool story, but we are not allowed to call it Kölsch. So I said, okay, whatever. It's golden ale. Basta. Thank you very much. And I wanted to call it Kölsch because I always want to educate a bit as well when we are dealing with beer. So I wanted to say, Germany, it's a cool place. They have also ales. It's not just lagers. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to say, okay, they have Kölsch. It's from Köln. It's cool. So in the background, you can see the Köln Cathedral. So this was also kind of inspiration for this can. And the Deeds, the creature, is kind of creature that ran off this cathedral. It's made up, but it's still here. And Deeds sounds to me like a 90s skater from Berlin. Kind of nickname for someone. Hey, Deeds, was ist los? Komm mal, Kumpel. I don't know, And that's where it got the name, kind of crazy Deeds, Okay. But then one guy wrote me email, hey, there is actually a town near Köln. It's called Dietz. So I was like, that's pretty cool. So there are many kind of crazy coincidences, but these are really true, and I didn't know it. Okay. So for Tuck, it's I also wanted, he's kind of crazy, and Tuck, what is Tuck? Give me one Tuck. I want to Tuck, and Tuck is simple, crazy, cool guy. And for Tuck, I wanted to take with this wheel to Radkersburg, yeah? And I went to CBC, that was in 2013 or even 2012. And then there was a guy playing guitar on the street, that's in Copenhagen, Denmark. And he had in his case, koffer, yeah, of the guitar, written Tuck. And it means in Danish, thank you. So I was like, that's cool. So sometimes, and how I made name is like, if it sounds kind of right, I just Google, it doesn't mean something crazy, like some weird part of tumor on animals or whatever. And then it's a cool name, and I name it, and sometimes it really means something. Okay. So yeah, that's the story of kind of label again, and names, and all the names are made up. I helped myself with Scrabble, and just that's the way. But that's everything done in Monster line. Okay. Next question is coming out from Ada. Which hops are you using for Tuck? So I like to use as much as possible local hops, but for sure for this very fruity stuff, it's not possible that much. If you really want strong citrus, if you really want some tropical thing going. So for this beer, we have Aurora, which is maybe one of my favorite hops for bitterness. It's from Slovenia. And this is more classical approach, Cascade, Amarillo, a bit of Citra, and a lot of love. That's the most important thing. All the time. Love for everything. Okay. And when we talk now for food pairing, which kind of food you recommend, which goes best with Tuck? It's barbecue maybe for the summertime now, or it's... I would say everything. Barbecue. Yeah, pizza for sure. Yeah, barbecue, pizza, food that you have fun with. Okay. Let's nothing too crazy. It's pretty balanced beer for sure. Food that has some character, that is not too, some pasta maybe might be too shy, but it depends on how much spices you use. For sure, maybe not. I don't know, some too spicy food, but yeah, that's true. Fun food. Fun food, yeah. Fun food. Maybe some snacks by, I don't know, football game. You know that. Or with a Turin, together with a Turin, when you're around. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I would say let's go for the third beer. Third beer. So third beer is is Kramach. It's IPA. This beer was made 7 years ago. So I think release was on 9th of May 2013. So let's see, maybe we could have a party or not, but the chances are not very good that we could have a party, because every year we have a kind of Kramach party. And for this beer, we had a birthday party because it started as a fun. In 2014, I realized, oh, tomorrow, or it was maybe even the same day. Oh, it's Kramach. We released it last year. Oh, we need to have party. You know, IPA, it's a good beer to start the party. So, and then each year we started to have it again and again. And it's kind of picnic for our employees. Some people come. It's open event. We even have event on Facebook, but we'll see this year because of this bloody Corona. So this just regular glass.
I only can recommend you all to you guys, if you find the time next year, 21, try to go and visit a Kramach birthday party. It's a really, really cool thing. I was there 2 years ago and it was a lot of fun with a lot of cool people with really nice barbecue. And I only can recommend go to the brewery and celebrate together with these guys, the Kramach birthday party.
We don't want to make it too complicated. It's simple, it's easy. Yeah. It's just having fun with whoever comes. We have some serious fans that are really, really big fans. If they are here, guys, cheers. We call them Kramach guys. They come for almost every party. They have a golden tap for Kramach. It's really crazy and cool guys. I'm really happy they like our brewery and Kramach especially so much. It's a really big honor, so thank you. Cheers. So I said it was made 7 years ago, no New England craze at that point. And you know, when the New England craze started to rise and to make all sorts of crazy extremes in beer brewing, I didn't want to change the recipe of Kramach. We just kept to doing it in a way it is. We wanted still to stay clear. It has a bit of hop haze, but just a little bit. That's just from oils. We don't want to have any yeast inside or too much polyphenols and stuff like that. So, and we want enough bitterness, smoothness, kind of West Coast IPA. And I think it survived this stress of New England beers, because we have now more and more people is going for Kramach. And we have some people that tried all sorts of IPAs and they are crazy for this Kramach. And I'm really happy that so many people understand what is really nice IPA, which are components of the nice IPA. Very nice, balanced body with enough drinkability, nice hop profile, enough bitterness. So this beer is pretty dangerous for me. You can get into trouble with this because you can drink it, and then suddenly you realize you better go sleeping. And well, I mean, there are 4 different hops in this one. It's Tomahawk, Citra, a bit of Galaxy, and Simcoe, of course. So the Galaxy is kind of new thing. It's not new thing. It's already there for 5 years, I think. But it wasn't there from the beginning because it was not available. But since 5 years, I think we already have, or maybe 6 years, because it's also in Dietz. Yeah, some of it is in Dietz, I forgot. And yeah, so Galaxy. It's pretty fancy hop right now, but we are happy we have a good contract with hop company, so we can get enough.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Simon is asking, what is your experience with dry hopping?
Well, I mean, how we do it?
And your experience, yeah? How you do it? What is your experience?
Yeah, we used to just open the fermenter on top of the tank, put in the hops and close it, and that was it. And we stopped to do that 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Now we have a hop rocket. We call it. It's called hop rocket. So we put all the hops inside. We rinse all the air out with CO2. Then we put in beer, and then we push everything into tank. And that's how we do now dry hopping. We are really, really, really strict with oxygen pickups in the process. It's a very important thing. So we measure on every point, and also this kind of dry hopping helped us to keep the oxygen level as low as possible on any step of the brewing process.
Okay.
And you know, when we started in 2016, we stopped filter our beers. We don't filter anymore. No beer is filtered. Most of beer is centrifuged, and centrifuge is a device which separates hops and yeast and some heavier proteins out of the beer with force of centrifugal force.
Mm-hmm.
And also with this machine, we get way lower. I mean, we get lower oxygen pickup in the process. And it's really cool because it squeezes out all the hop juice that is presented. Yeah, I mean, we are really like centrifuge, and it actually gives you more flavor per kilo of hops, but we never reduced the amount in Kramach or any other beer. We just said, okay, it's a benefit of the centrifuge. We have no more aroma, and that's it.
Cool. Cans. Maybe we can talk a little bit about the packaging.
Yeah.
At the beginning, there was no can available from Bevog. Yeah. Then it came that you switched and told me that you will start now canning and will stop bottling. Can you explain us a little bit why you made this step and switched over to cans?
Yeah,
especially for all the light beers, all the hobby beers. Was it a little bit complicated in the beginning? Is it now going easier? Can you see that the people are more understanding or enjoying?
New technology in the brewery and new investment, it's always very complicated. But I was always aiming for beer better and better and better, and I still want it. I think now that we are kind of on limit, whatever we can still do, you know. It's like curve, and now it's flattened almost. We can do maybe some small things, some changes, maybe some will not even recognize, or maybe some will recognize, but it will be always for the better. We are also never compromising beer because of the price of something. We make beer and then we calculate how much it costs. It's a bit of naive way of doing business, but I think it's the right way to do it. So the packaging was one of the things that I wanted to have something new. You know, I always want to have something new. I'm kind of geek as from technical part. I used to be a musician, you know. I was always on forums, what kind of bass, what kind of amplifier, what kind of drums and cymbals, whatever. And the same is in brewing, yeah. So sometimes looking to things on the internet I cannot even afford or I don't need, but still I know many things, what's going on in technology. And even before we bottled our beer, I knew I want to have cans. Because in USA, it was still already, the trend was going. It was not as rapid as it is for last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. But in 2011, or I don't know, I figured Oscar Blues and stuff like that, you know. I was interested in what is going on with cans, and all the things started to be clear to me. And my big wish was to start actually canning from the get-go. If it would be me, we would can from the beginning. Okay. But I somehow, at that point, it was really hard to find a company that makes small filler that would be affordable enough for us to start. So the bottle filler was a bit more affordable. And you can imagine at the time when we started, 2013, there was almost zero craft beer, you know. In Austria, Goosewerk, maybe Stiegl was something already working with some pale ales and stuff like that. But pale ale was completely new thing, you know. The same was in Slovenia. In Slovenia was one brewery with pale ale and some stout, I think. Human Fish Brewery. And that was it. So on the beginning, it was really hard even to explain, hey, taste the beer. What else to explain? Hey, taste the beer in the can. It's really good and it costs a lot, you know. So it was too big of a step, and I knew it could not work. So and maybe the bigger problem was still the price. Nowadays you can find smaller equipment that is more affordable. I didn't know at that point, maybe it was already because there is one Canadian manufacturer of canning machines for very small sizes. Maybe it was already running, but then I didn't find it, or I don't know. But honestly, I didn't know it existed. Okay. So yeah, because of that, we didn't can. And can is really cool. It protects the beer from sunlight. You know, you can have 2 cans. I will show you something. It's a very big benefit. You see, if you have it in the fridge, you save a lot of space in the fridge. And too many people have 2 small fridges, okay? So that's kind of a joke, but it's still true. It's still true. The can is like 100% safe beer from any light. Light is really bad for beer. It is very convenient packaging. It weighs just 13 grams with lid a bit less than 13 grams. On the other hand, the bottle weighs at least 230 grams or 270 or something. And it saves a lot of energy. It's true that aluminum is very energy consuming when you're producing it from the ore. But when you're recycling, it uses less energy than glass, than to make a new glass bottle. And all the transport and how much space you can save on the truck because of the can, and all these aspects were just too cool to me to pass it. And I said, okay, if we were able to explain what is craft beer and we were kind of successful with that, and people were starting to really enjoy our beer, and you know, we got momentum with our sales and we were selling good, we will try to explain how the can will work and what is good with can. And I said, okay, people will understand, and hopefully the can doesn't have that much of a bad reputation, you know, that is just cheap beer in the can, or is it bad for beer, or is there a taste of aluminum and so on. So I investigated a bit what's going on, and beer beer is not in contact with aluminum. There is one very, very special inlay. It's not a plastic or PVC or whatever. There was a YouTube guy explaining a bit of physics. about that, but it's just like fake news. It's a very hard to dilute or whatever to do with this layer inside. I drink all the time from cans and I feel all right. So yeah. When we were releasing the can, I knew that our sales will drop, but I said, I want to do it. I want to start with this. And yeah, we just jumped into water without knowing if it's deep enough or is it with sharks or whatever, the alligators. And yeah, it was, then it happened. We had a drop in sales of our beer, and you know, after investing in new canning line and everything, but I still think it was worth it at that point, because for sure people started to learn about it, realizing it's cool, and it's not that of a problem anymore. Still, it is a bit of a problem in restaurants and high-end places, because you know, can still have a kind of weird reputation. But otherwise, I think it's a really, really cool package also for outdoor sports, outdoor occasions, on music events. In time of Corona, not that much, but still, in the time of Corona, you can have more in the fridge, so it's the same.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's a question back to Kramer. Short, which kind of yeast you're using for Kramer?
So we use American ale yeast.
Okay. Next question
very neutral yeast. You can have very similar yeast. It's US 05 or this White Labs 001 or 1096 from Y yeast or Lallemand. You have what's Lallemand? Well, I forgot. But
okay.
Neutral American yeast.
Veronica asks, how big was the production last year?
So it was 6,000 hectoliters. It is 600,000 liters. So 6,000 hectoliters. That's what we did. Some need sometimes a bit of comparison. Normal breweries, like industrial breweries, they start at about 1 million hectoliters. So I think it's still, it's a very small brewery, because sometimes we get, some people get already kind of feeling that we are a big brewery. It's like, yeah, maybe not too much, I think. Just 14 people. That's it.
For Austria, you are one of the bigger ones, you know, especially when
it
comes to its younger craft beer brewers.
Yeah, but if you go to UK already, or even Netherlands sometimes, or Italy, it's not that big, you know. We have 15 hectoliter brew house, 1,500 liter brew house, and we brew from Monday to Wednesday or Thursday, even the night. Because this brew house is pretty small for this, but yeah, that's the machine that we have to work with. As there are many breweries that have bigger machine but doesn't promote make so much, so it's a lot of work for these 6,000 hectoliters.
That's true. Daniel asks, who decides which beer came to the core range, and who is deciding which Who Care beer is coming back again? For example, this year we already got back Totem, Hanna is back.
Yeah.
So it's only you who decides which beer will come back and which beer will get kind of out of Who Cares and into kind of core range?
You know, it's me and it's customers, you know. If we don't sell a lot of, I don't know, weird beer, like something smoked, goza with I don't know what. We cannot produce it. I liked it, but people didn't like, so I say, okay, it's not, we cannot sell it, and we are not producing it anymore. But then we have some beers that I really love, and we make even small quantities of it each year. So it's kind of a combination of our beer drinkers of Bevog, our fans, our consumers. And yeah, then I decide, we have maybe a meeting, we see which beer is popular maybe in which country. Sometimes some importers, they are really in love with a certain type of beer, and then we make even a beer just for them. For instance, Finland, they are completely mad on Totem. I think one of the most underrated beer that we ever made. It's really beautiful beer. You can have it 1 year old. It's still really fruity. Very stable beer, very refreshing, full of flavor, and they love it. And we make actually quite a lot of it just for Finland, and therefore we are now also selling it here on local market. But this is really new from this year on. It wasn't like this yet last year. So it's kind of mixed.
Okay.
But if I really like some beer and it was okay in department of how much we sold, then I try to push it into production. Yeah, we gotta have it, you know.
Again.
And it might be that we will make again some of beers that we didn't make for a few years. We will see.
Okay.
But like Hana, we had quite a lot of good feedback, but it was not crazy good selling beer as from sales. So we made it then again, because I said it's one, I think it's my favorite wheat beer. Okay, I'm not saying because I want to sell it. I'm saying that's the way I feel about Hana. And we made it again, and then we got a bit of more momentum. So we will now try to make it more in a regular basis, maybe more from spring to autumn, something like that. And we get more and more people drinking it, because, you know, sometimes it's just, yeah, it's a wheat beer. It's kind of Weizen, it's with wheat, and people, oh, I don't like Weizen, I don't like wheat beers. It's kind of weird to me. And they try Hana and they love it. Or even more people, like, especially like women, girls, or older, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't drink beer, I like wine, and they try Hana and they really, really love it.
Yeah,
it was crazy. I was in Germany pouring beer on one event, a kind of gastronomical event, and there were many people, kind of high society, drinking wine, and, you know, and they came and they kind of, okay, I will have one beer, just because they felt, okay, come on, this guy should at least pour something. And they started to come back because they really liked the beer. I don't think they would like, I don't know, hazy IPA or pale ale as much, but the Hana, with all the soft and nice flavor, and all the flavors are so clean. I think it's really, really cool. So that's why we continue sometimes with some beer that are not like boom sellers, but they are gaining popularity. So that's the story.
Thomas is asking, is there a meaning in grammar, or what grammar means? Or is it similar to all the other deeds, tag? It's an idea which came out.
As always, it doesn't have any meaning. Before I figure it has some meaning. I once read it's kind of god in India of war or victory or whatever. I don't like it, but yeah, it's just a name. It's just a name.
Okay.
But maybe someone will, you know, if phonetically something sounds cool and right, it is a good chance it will mean something in, I don't know, there are maybe 5,000 languages on the world. So it is a good chance it means something when it doesn't sound really weird. Sometimes even really weird words are around. So.
Got you. Ryan is asking, who decides which beer will be the next Who Cares beer? Are you following trends, or are you coming out with some ideas which you maybe tasted, or someone is telling you, maybe Vasja, try to make I don't know which kind of style will be the next or the newest water, canned water? No.
You gotta drink water in between beer, then next day is a bit better and you can have another beer. So
okay.
Most of times I got idea from maybe some journeys when I travel around. Sometimes I have idea for a long time in my head, and I think it's just the right time to make something out of it. For instance, coconut porter. I did it already as a home brewer 10 years ago. But some recipes are just waiting. I have it already more or less made, and maybe they're not made for 2 years. But I don't really follow that much of trends. I try to realize whatever I like the best and how I see the beer. Yeah, sometimes it's not that easy, because if something is not popular, it's hard to sell. But for instance, I didn't want to make a hazy IPA for quite a while, because I thought it's too heavy beer. It doesn't have any harmony. It's just a mountain of hops in the brew kettle and in dry hopping. But then I was starting to think, and I had some beers that I really liked in this style, and they were more on a settled side and more laid back, and it was still called hazy IPA. And I said, okay, something like that I really like, you know. It makes sense. And then I started to build up my own recipe of hazy IPA. And then in 2018, you know, that's like 2 years after hazy stuff started, I said, okay, why not to make one kind of beer for happy December, you know. And then we made a snow shovel. And then we made snow shovel, I think 2 batches. That's 3, not even, this was 2,500 liters. Because we use so much hops, we cannot make so much beer. Then the quantity is reduced a bit, whatever. So we made it, and it was such a success. We were brewing it from November to February, all the time. Almost every week, at least 2 batches, and it was crazy. I couldn't believe that people really loved it so much, or wanted hazy IPA from us so much, because first 2 batches were sold, like, I think more or less in 2 or 3 days. You know, all the exports, and in the brewery and in your shop, in your company, in Slovenia, everywhere, they just hazy IPA from Bevog. Okay, cool.
Okay.
So I decided, okay, we will just brew it and brew it.
Okay.
Why not to brew if people want it? I mean, it would be stupid. It's not just commercial point. It just, why not to satisfy your people?
That's true.
Yeah.
Vasja, next beer. So many things to talk about, but we don't have to forget to drink and taste the beers together.
Okay. Oh, look at that.
Craft Beer Fest. Maybe Kevin is watching as well. Hello, Kevin.
Prost.
Prost, prost.
Yeah, it's a bit damaged. See here.
Ooh.
You know, Craft Beer Fest Vienna is not an easy job. I have a very cool opener. Guck mal.
Tina beer. Yeah.
Tina beer. Really cool beer.
Brasserie de la Seine.
Yeah. So. So routine, black IPA, it's 7.4% alcohol. We made this beer as a first Who Cares beer. It was then called Dark Cascadian versus Black IPA or something like that. Because when I was creating Black IPA, I really liked the idea of the style. So to make kind of complexity mold from kind of porter and to combine it with very hoppy IPA. So we made this beer in 2014. No? Yeah, 2014 in November, I think. And it was really, really good feedback on this beer. Also on Who Cares line. And that's when I realized that it's a good idea to have like a specialty line of beer to show to our fans and beer drinkers that drink our beer or whoever how many different beer you can make and what kind of styles you have, you know. It's still year 2014 and it is pretty big beer. We haven't changed recipe a lot, maybe some small changes over these 6 years, not too much, and I think it's a very, very good black IPA. I'm not a big fan of these rating beer sites, but and I don't even have Untapped. But on Rate Beer, it's still among 50 best black IPAs in the world. Mm-hmm. It has a really nice fruity and a bit of dark fruits, and then you have a bit of kind of really citrusy coffee, you know, this fancy coffee that you can buy now. I mean, it's a really good beer. It also looks to me really nicely. So
it's decent foam. The foam is really nice as well, you know. It's really creamy.
Yeah. I have to drink it more often.
No, it's a really nice beer.
So you have complexity of the very wide spectrum of flavors in this beer. The malt bill is 7 different malts, I think. It is very big on Tomahawk, and on one of my favorite hops, it's Chinook. Some Simcoe. I think that's it with hops. But yeah, it's just, and there was a time that it stopped to be popular a few years ago, and I said, okay, let's see. But like last year, the sales of this beer started to go again back up. Mm-hmm. So I really, really appreciate that people really find this very tasty, because it is a tasty beer.
What kind of food you recommend for this black IPA? Steak, barbecue?
Nah.
No?
I wouldn't go with steak with this one. Maybe too bitter for steak. I don't know, actually. Like a good stuff, like cheese, you know. It's very complex beer. So kind of cheese or nice charcuterie, you know, dry sausage and stuff like that.
And you really think it's too bitter for a
maybe
steak?
some more hearty food, like a very nice vegan stew with some mushrooms and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I think that could work with this beer. So yeah, it's pretty amazing, and I'm still so happy that, you know, with our beer, most of the time we don't make like a small batch and then make batch that is going into our brew house and blah blah blah. Most of the times we just make a recipe. I make a recipe, we brew it, and if you like it, we release it. If we don't like it, it goes to drain. It's always the same. And even if we have like a batch of tuck that is not good, it's very rare, but it goes to drain. If something is wrong with the beer, we don't keep it.
Okay.
Because I think it's unfair for a customer to buy beer that is not up to standards, you know, because he pays premium price for it. And if we fuck it up, it's our fault, and we cannot force anyone to buy it, or we don't want anyone to buy it if it's not good. And this beer was already, when it was fermenting, I remember it was like, wow, that's really cool. That's really cool. And it's, you know, whatever. I mean, people should. I many times say I'm not a really good guy to judge the beer and explain the beer to other people. I know when I like the beer, when I smell the beer, I first want to see all the mistakes. Not that I want to see, but I kind of see it. It is on the way of the beauty of the beer, on the ingredients or whatever. And I think beer needs the balance between all the ingredients and the process, and sometimes it's really hard to make a complex beer and to be still pretty drinkable and nice to drink. It can soon become too heavy to drink. I don't like heavy beer. I like beer that I can drink. Mm-hmm. And that this kind of philosophy I already have from the beginning, and I don't want to change it. Even if you try maybe Hugger, our strongest beer, it's still, you know, it's not too thick. It's still, you know, you drink it and you kind of, I can have another sip and another sip and another sip. Sometimes with heavy beer or even heavy sweet wine, it's hard. It burns. To drink. So that's this kind of balance to keep, I think, is a big art in brewing, and I think our beer have this. I mean, yeah, I think maybe someone doesn't, but
it's up to the consumers.
For sure.
There's the next question coming up. Michael is asking, Who Cares Festival? Is there any possibility that it will be this year because of all these coronavirus things going on?
Yeah, who cares?
It's too soon to ask this question because we have to see, you know, how things will change.
I mean, who cares? It's 100% not this year for sure.
Okay.
It's Corona. It's also with Who Cares for Beer Festival. It's a lot of work. It is not possible to explain how much work it is for that small of a team that we are, and it's getting harder and harder on us because we don't have money to take someone else to organize it. Yeah. We have to do everything ourselves, and then production is stopped. And then before the festival, it's really stressful. 1 week we close production, everything, just to prepare the festival. And then 1 week later, the production is still not running. And you know, it's season, you know, we need beer.
High season. No.
And all this stuff this year would be too much, and including this Corona shit. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's.
But we are planning on making
Everyone
some
can understand
smaller events. So
okay.
you better check out the Facebook and Instagram.
Cool. No more questions for Rudin, so I would say.
What's the time?
No, the time is okay. Doesn't matter the time. But now is a question coming. Why Rudin is in a bottle and not in a can?
Well, when we started with regular line of canning, I wanted to have printed can. Okay. And to get printed can, you got to order a lot of cans because it's a thing of big breweries. And we kind of asked, can we get very low minimum quantity? And for the manufacturer of cans, whatever we take is almost nothing, but they make it because one day you might grow, and because now there are many more other craft breweries starting to can, they also have some income, and for sure they have higher price, I'm pretty sure. So I decided if we go to cans, it must be pretty, it must be nice for regular line, all printed, also this part, and we want to print it. And for Rudin, for instance, we don't sell a lot of it. It's way too low number that we would go to print. If we would print cans once in maybe 10 years, then we could have printed can of Rudin. That's how much of cans you have to order if you want to have printed one. And for sure, the next question could, and that's also how much Rudin we actually sell. But the next thing about Rudin is also the production of it. We can make on our machine, our brew house, just 1,000 liter of Rudin at once, because there is so much hops. It's more hops in Rudin than in any hazy IPA we've ever done. Okay, so that's interesting, but that's the way it is. And when we were thinking what to do, I decided, okay, Rudin and all the dark beer will stay in bottle because they are not also that much of light sensitive as pale beer. And the bottle is still cool. Later on, I realized we should also label Who Cares beer. Because first Who Cares were in bottles for sure, because also we didn't have canning line, but yeah, maybe one day also in can, but I don't know. It should be labeled, I think.
Okay.
Do you want to have it in the can? That's the question for him. Can he answer?
We will ask him. We will ask him, yeah, if he wants it in a can.
I mean, that's interesting for me.
Yeah. Let's wait. Maybe he comes back with an answer for you. One question, short answer, but it can be a really long answer. How you get connected with Metal Days?
It's not a short question.
I know it can be a really long answer, but try to make it as short as possible.
Basically, as much as I remember, we contact them maybe even 1 or 2 years before we started to make beer for them. I wrote them because to me, music means a lot. We are very connected to music also in the brewery. We listen a lot of music. We have some musicians, as I explained before, with artists and blah, blah. But so I wanted to be I wanted to have influence on these kind of festivals. I think these kind of festivals deserve to have good beer. And that's why I contacted them. I said, yeah, it's a cool thing. your fans might be interesting also to getting some cool beer, and this could be a very good opportunity for us and them, and everybody wins. So when you go to a cool music festival, you can have a cool beer, not just, you know, regular stuff. And since we started, they expanded the variety that they have, also that you can buy on the festival, not where the band is playing, but in the camping area. And it's really cool because, you know, me as a craft beer drinker on that kind of festival, it's that sucks, man. I want to have craft beer. That's it. I don't say it's just our beer that must be there. It just a good craft beer that must be on every music festival, because it is so much more fun. And yeah, I'm really happy they went with us, and it's kind of good, you know, cross promotion. Yeah, it's not like we are making any money with this. It's promoting craft beer. It's literally like this. You know, many times you will see when we make descriptions on Facebook and stuff like that, I don't say I drink Bevog and what, or thank you for drinking Bevog sometimes, but many times I say craft beer, because I think the craft beer as a community must be strong. And if people drink more craft beer, it's a good chance they will take my beer or someone else's beer. I don't drink just our beer, for sure. I drink most of beer, it's our beer, because it's so handy and really tasty, and I love it. And I made it according to my taste. But yeah, man, more craft beer everywhere.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
So let's move to the next beer, Vasja.
Oh.
You get the answer. Yes, she wants Rudin in a can.
Okay. We'll try, but smart. So what kind of glass? 3 glass?
More or less like a tasting glass, sensoric glass, you know.
Okay.
Pick out some flavors.
You know, I tried to make kind of glass for every beer, but yeah. So I will take a glass that I really like and love this brewery, because that's the brewery where I worked in France. That's the glass that I got in 2012 or 11, 12. When I was working as a trainee in their brewery. It's in northern France. It's near Arras. They have really lovely triple saison and really cool brewery. I visited them last year when I had a tour, tap takeover and festival tour through the France from north to south. And yeah, I really appreciate that they let me to be in their brewery for 3 weeks, working with them, learn about, you know, maybe a bit of background. I was just a home brewer. I was never educated as a brewer. I never touched a beer pump, or I didn't know which kind of cleaning solution I need before I entered this brewery for 3 weeks. So I went there. The company that sold us brewing equipment, Kaspar Schulz, it's in Muttermilch as well. They got us into connection, and I asked if I just can work. I will do whatever you want. I just want to work in the brewery, so I know what kind of press, what I have to do in the brewery, man. Because in the same year, so it was 12, I got my brew house, and I haven't touched a single piece of the real brewing equipment at that point. Just a spindle to measure the gravity of the beer, yeah, the plateau. So I went there, and yeah, they showed me everything, all the basic stuff, how to connect the pump, how to clean the tank, how to start the brewing process on a real machine. You know, I was homebrewing on my homebrew kit that I made myself together with some scrap metal and plumbing material. And so it was really cool to see the guys. I appreciate them. If you're ever in Aras, you should check this brewery and drink the beer. Triple is amazing. So here we go. Totem. Sour IPA. As you see, its kind of background is our festival. And totem means kind of sign around which people are gathered and are celebrating. So I thought the totem name is pretty cool for this beer. We made this beer, I think 4 years ago, for the first time. I didn't know at that time how to call it, and I called it Sour IPA. And just maybe a few months later, I realized also in USA, there is such thing as sour IPA. You know, when we started to make first kettle soured beer, that means you make souring in the brew kettle with lactic acid bacteria. I realized it's so fruity. We got to check out what kind of flavor we get if we dry hop that kind of beer. And I tried it and I loved it and I still love it. And I think people should drink that kind of stuff more. So because this sourness and what the bacteria produce is very fruity, and the flavor and the aroma stays for very, very long time in the beer. You can have Totem 2 years old. It's very fruity still. Yeah. So, Prost.
Prost.
Molto bene.
More coming. First question already, food pairing. What kind of food you recommend to pair with Totem?
I think you can go with a bit spicier fish. Even with some salad. I guess it could be a good starter of the dinner, you know, like a aperitif, something that wakes you up. I would also eat a good kebab with this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, a bit spicy, a lot of cabbage, like a shish kebab, the real one, a good one. Yeah, something like that. Nothing too heavy, but yeah, that's what I would try with this.
Question is coming again. Anna is asking how you make this beer sour.
So it's a kettle soured beer. Basically, kettle means the container or the vessel in which you cook the beer or you boil the beer. So in this process, you actually make the wort and boil it for some time, and then you cool this wort and keep it in the kettle, in this vessel where you are cooking the beer. But you cool it to approximately 25 to 35 degrees centigrade. It depends whatever flavor you want, sometimes even 40 degrees. And you add lactobacillus. It's the same bacillus as makes your yogurt. So if you have unpasteurized yogurt, you can do it even with yogurt. That's basically how we do. We add lactobacillus, and then we keep it like this for 10 to 24 hours. It depends on which beer we are doing. And after that, we measured the pH, we measured the amount of acid that was produced. And after the numbers are right, that is very important that you have a good consistency from batch to batch. And then we boil it again, just to kill off all the lactobacillus, because you don't want to have it later in the process, or you don't want to have it in your other beer lactobacillus, otherwise everything is sour. And then we cool it as normal as any other wort, add normal brewing yeast. We ferment it, we dry hop it, and then we get this amazing beer.
Sour beer.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's very important to keep all this stuff very much in check. We realized if you don't sour enough, or if you miss the temperature, you don't have so open aroma and open taste with this beer. It's not that free, you know. When you smell this, it's just really, really fruity, and this kind of sourness and fruitiness combined, it's like really pineapple and all the good stuff, and a bit of kind of fermentation thing that all adults should enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Pineapple. Questions coming quite often now. How often you brew or test before you releasing a new beer?
For the beer, one of the beers that we will drink as the last beer today, we made a lot of testing. We actually canned it 2 times, and all of it went into drain. Sometimes and before that, we tried also with some other beer, like Gute Nacht was one of the researchers for this beer, and it's not that we were like not happy with Gute Nacht or whatever. Not by far, we are really happy with Gute Nacht. But I wanted a bit different beer, and from Gute Nacht we developed this beer that will be tasted as the last one. For instance, lager that is also, I can say it will be released pretty soon, so a bit of rumors, it's cool. We were testing the recipe for more than a year. So we discarded, I think, maybe 8 batches or even more, because I was not happy with yeast, and then we changed the yeast, and then we changed malt. And before we release beer, I really want to be happy with it. I don't want to put something that is not good, because for me, it's too sensitive, because I look at myself, if I'm not happy with some stuff that some breweries are putting out, I don't try it again. I mean, I will try it after a while, but yeah, I'm not so confident.
Okay.
So that's why I want to be very, very serious and as good as possible when it comes out. And sometimes, like before, I said for black IPA, it was crazy from the get-go. Also, Deeds was actually the recipe of the Deeds. It's not that changed, actually. We changed some of stuff in the process and so on, but the basic formula is pretty similar.
Okay.
So sometimes, you get the bullseye immediately. Sometimes, you're a bit in the dark, and yeah, that's what is cool in brewing, and that's what keeps you awake in the night. So
Daniel is asking, in which country you sell most of your beers? okay, we can say now Slovenia is your home market or Austria is your home market. It always depends, but in which country you sell most of your beers? Daniel is asking.
Yeah, when we started, for me, I'm from Slovenia, yeah, I knew where we can start, and we made our own distribution company, and still Slovenia is the biggest market. Austria is growing in last years constantly, and I'm really happy about that. The third biggest market is Italy. Then it's Netherlands and France. I don't know which one is bigger. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I love I really appreciate any market who appreciate our beer and understand what we are doing. And yeah, okay, short answer.
Yeah, so, short answer. It's good. There's also another question coming. Which was the most exotic country where you sold your beer?
I don't know. We are not really wide exporting to some exotic countries because we have cooled warehouse, and we also want that from last year on we started to demand cold chain. So if especially for summer, spring, summer, autumn, it depends for which country, we say they can get beer if they have cooled transport. That's because if we are, for instance, sending beer to Spain, and we have the best possible method to keep oxygen low and in filling, we are doing crazy stuff to keep everything in check. And we have our own warehouse where beer is cold all the time as a big Kohlschrank, yeah. And then we put it on a truck that have 3 stops on the way to Spain, and the temperature in the truck is 50 degrees. What have we done? It's gone. So that's why we demand it, and that's why we don't want to work with some importers, especially when we are talking about overseas. So we are selling our beer, for instance, in Thailand, but the guy who is importing in Thailand, he knows a lot about beer, and he have cooled containers. He's not shipping just our beer, but from our brewery, it goes in cooled truck to Germany, and from Germany in cooled container, it goes to Thailand, to Bangkok. And from there on, yeah, it's cool all the way.
That's cool.
And that's important. Otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, that's maybe the most exotic, but what is exotic, people
because it's a little bit out of the norm, for most of the breweries from Austria, but craft beer brewers especially, it's something like which is, let's say, out of the norm, because normally they are happy and lucky when they have business in Europe, and then you can ship your beers to Bangkok.
We had many inquiries from Colombia, from Brazil, from Canada, USA, and so on, but it's really hard to find someone who is ready to take the cold shipments. Yeah, that's the way we want, and we want that our beer is in as good shape as possible.
Rolf from Vuk Stadtbattle says hello, and he tells us that he even find a can on the Faroe Islands.
Hello, Vuk. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know it's in Faroe Islands because sometimes there is importer who is selling to another importer, and then we lose the track where the beer goes. So sometimes we see beer in crazy places, but we don't even know it's there. So cool information.
But to make something clear, I was together with Rolf. Hello, Rolf, on the Faroe Islands, and I brought the cans to the Faroe Islands. Maybe
okay.
Rolf was, at this point, he was too drunk, so it was a joke on my side, but I was bringing the can up to the Faroe Islands. So okay.
You gotta kill all the stuff, man.
No, it's okay.
It's okay.
Next beer, Vasja.
Next beer is Haze Out of Space.
Yes. It's also a big selling product for you, huh? It's a big seller.
Yeah, it's Haze Out of Space. It has pretty good numbers. Not the best seller by far, but I'm happy. I'm happy. For this occasion, I choose a very special glass. It's festival glass from Bergamo.
Okay.
So it's kind of to stay with good people from Bergamo. We have a really good relation with the importer. You know, this Corona, it's really fucked them. And yeah, it's, I said, it's crazy cool festival. Yeah, I hope they will be better soon.
We all hope that they will be better soon, yeah.
Sure.
Especially in this region, especially in Bergamo.
Yeah. So for me, it's why I have some glasses. It's the original glass that I was using for maybe 1 or 2 days there. It has some wears because of the pouring, but I was there with Carl.
Because of the pouring, okay.
Yeah, the crazy Carl.
Okay.
Carl, if you're listening, hello. He's one of the coolest guys on the planet Earth. So we were there, and we will taste now this beer from this glass. With hazy beer, sometimes I like to do kind of similar thing as with Weizen, yeah, because you know the hops and polyphenols and some other stuff has a tendency to settle down. So after a while in a fridge, beer can happen that you will have beer that is not kind of nicely hazy like this, but is more like has kind of flakes floating around. Mm-hmm. It's nothing wrong with beer, it's just the nature of the beer, and we don't want to use any chemicals to keep everything hazy. We want to keep it as clean as possible. In fact, we don't use any finings or weird crazy stuff. It's very natural. And sometimes then you have to just help it up to make it a bit more hazy. Some people like it to drink, to pour it more clean and discard the sediment. Some like to swirl it in or whatever. I figured that with hazy IPA, with this one, we made a pretty good job to keep it as hazy as possible, as long as possible. It is just the way how you brew it, what kind of ingredients you have. It is not, and the process, it is not it has nothing to do with some additives or whatever that would alter the beer.
Carl says hello. So he is watching and listening. And tomorrow night he will be my guest here on Beer Lovers Tasting. So I will have the pleasure to taste Carl's cider tomorrow together.
Cool. Really cool ciders. So, Prost.
Prost.
So, you know, this is hazy IPA. I don't call it New England IPA because it's not typical New England IPA. I see New England IPA sometimes a bit heavy and too sugary, or how to call it, a bit too much of hop burn you can have. But this one I wanted to call hazy IPA. It's filled pretty fresh. We have special yeast for this beer that we selected. We use double dry hopping in this beer. So we add some in fermentation and something after fermentation, a lot of hops in the end. But you can find also a certain amount of bitterness in this beer. And I think it balances out then this kind of feel of too much of things, and it keeps it pretty drinkable. And that's what I wanted to make a really nice and fruity, juicy kind of beer that is pale. There is no caramelized malt whatsoever in this beer. There is some flaked barley. Is there oat in this one? Yeah, some wheat and some oats, and this keeps it a bit more hazy and like that. But it also gives it nice texture. So when you drink it, it keeps a bit kind of pleasant, silky feel on your tongue, and I think it's a good or even great example of the style, because it's drinkable, it's very tasty, it has this silky thing going on, but it's not heavy at all. I mean, you can drink pints. I can drink, but not for long.
We all can drink pints.
You can get into trouble, man.
Yeah, but compare the ABV with...
And for this label, you know, when we are under stress, sometimes we really don't know what kind of label we should do for next Who Cares beer. And for this one, we had a bit of a struggle on the beginning. And then I said, oh, whatever, it's a Haze Out of Space, man. And I said, oh, it's cool, it's a Haze Out of Space. So that's Haze Out of Space. And that's kind of next step from Snow Shuffle. Both are really, really good, but here we have a bit different hops. And yeah, in the future, we might keep this beer more available over a longer period of time, because we figured in 2018 and also 19, we were putting up so many Who Cares beer, people could not even follow. And some people were like, hey guys, what is new? When did you release this beer? And we're like, yeah, that's 5 beers ago. So we realized it's maybe too crazy. And we wanted, then in 2019, I said, okay, we will stick with less Who Cares than last year. So in 2018, we made 23 different Who Cares beer. And then I said, let's keep about 15. And last year, we've made altogether 26 different beers. So it's hard for us. And you know, it's sometimes hard to work with us, because it's new things are going so fast and coming so fast. But it's kind of our way, man. It's hard to change.
Yeah, I only can agree. Sometimes it's really hard to deal with, but in the end, it's always nice, always funny. But yeah,
it's not like we want to fool around with anyone, but it's just the way it is. I have new idea, or we have a cool idea, we want to make it, and it's already on Facebook, and we don't even say to importers, hey, we have new beer. So we are trying to be better.
Yeah, it's okay.
But that's, I think, one of the reasons in craft beer, sometimes you can be just who you are, and not to bother too much with that kind of stuff. That said, I want to be as professional as possible, but sometimes not possible.
You are, especially tonight. You're perfect. Next question is Gabriele is asking if you're using a Belgian yeast in Haze Out of Space, because it reminds her a little bit on a Belgian taste.
No.
It was a short answer, Gabriela, but he's not using a Belgian yeast. Yeah.
it can come a bit from the hops. It can be, you know, it is going a bit into already kind of spicy hops. You know what I mean? It's fruity and everything, but it has kind of so much hops. It's a bit already assertive, like, yeah. I mean, too much hops. It's not too much hops. It's the right amount, but it can be a bit spicy. You know what I mean? That maybe reminds her this spiciness
on this
of
the
Belgium yeast. That's right. Good observation.
Yeah. There are more questions about Haze Out of Space, or we can start the drums and wait for the newest beer, for the special beer for this tasting.
Let's have another question.
Like recommended as a surprise beer, and I'm pretty sure that all of you guys really enjoyed the surprise beer when you open the box, and the surprise is, yeah, this coconut porter. And now again, Vasja, present us our newest.
Okay, so with a new glass. So I already said before, for this beer, we decided to go with different artists that we did with all the other regular beer. The main reason is I love our design from before, but the thing is that nitro is so much different beer also to pour that it needs special attention. And I wanted to be that you see nitro as a big thing, and then you know how to pour it. So you see here instruction, how to pour it. And it's very important. If you don't pour it in that way, you will not have the right effect on the foam. And yeah, I will show you how to do it, and then we can talk, okay? So first step, you grab the can and you turn it upside up like this. So you kind of make a shake. Yeah. Now make a master twist. Yeah, that's the master twist. You will see this. I think tomorrow we will release some videos about master twist. And then you crack the can, but just that it starts to go, because it will make a bit of a mess, but we cannot help this. And then you open it up completely, and then you pour it like this. And then you have this cascading, you see? And then you have this cascading effect. And then you gotta wait. You know, nitro beer is a thing that you have to appreciate and look at it first, and then you are jumping on it. And after, you can empty the can. And then when you see, you're looking into foam, you see very small bubbles. Very small bubbles. And that's the effect of nitro. It is, normally you have in beer CO2, but in this beer, instead of CO2, you put in nitrogen. There is actually a bit of CO2 inside, but the most of the gas in this beer is nitrogen. And nitrogen makes way smaller bubbles than CO2. And this makes this beer very creamy. When we were deciding how to make this nitro beer, we tested quite some versions. as I said already before, the coconut porter was first, I brewed it maybe 10 years ago as a home brewer. I always wanted to have it in my brewery because I think it's a crazy cool thing. And then I realized maybe the nitro version is even better. So we tested a bit what's going on with nitro, and we realized it's so cool. So I prefer it on a nitro version, and that's it. In this beer, you have maybe 6 different kinds of malt and real coconut. Whenever we do a beer with fruit or vanilla or whatever, it's the real thing. We never use any additives, fake aromas or whatever. So in this beer, we have double the amount of coconut as it is in, for instance, Gute Nacht. But in Gute Nacht, we have also vanilla and chocolate. But in this one, I just wanted this nutty thing from coconut, and we just keep it plain coconut porter without anything else. It's really creamy, 5.5%. Pretty easy to drink. Again, my idea how the beer should look like. It's not meant that it's like a crazy specialty beer or whatever. It's a really cool beer you order and you enjoy it. And yeah, I'll just have a sip.
Cheers.
Cheers. So it's a really creamy beer. It has a certain kind of sweetness, and the taste stays quite a long time. And it's not just coconutty; it has a lot of nutty flavor. You know, like just nuts. You know, not hazelnuts, but nuts. And then you have this kind of sweet chocolate thing going, just a hint of coffee, kind of cinnamon thing as well. But there is no cinnamon inside. And I think we did a pretty good job with this beer, and we were developing it all together maybe a few years, you know. But really, like, finish was pretty struggling how to put it into can. Because sometimes, you know, you have this bowl or kind of poke inside of the can, which is pretty cool. But we wanted to go without this because we are already, and we will make more steps into sustainable stuff. And this poke and bowl is plastic, so we didn't want to have this in can. And we wanted to go just without this. And that's kind of my idea, whatever. And if you pour it like I showed it, then you get pretty much similar effect of the nitro as with widget. It's called widget, but this is just we dose a little bit of nitrogen before we close the can. So it's technologically it's a bit of a crazy thing. As I said before, I like technical things. But in the end, what is the most important is it's crazy good beer. It's creamy. It's tasty. Markus, you like it?
It's perfect. It's really, really nice. You know, it's, to be honest, it's not the first time that I tasted it. So I already know what I can expect when I open the can, but it's a super nice, creamy, really nutty, really nice aftertaste. So it's really, really good. Congratulations.
And also easy to drink, man. It's kind of
really easy to drink.
Yeah. I think also we have pretty nice presentation of a little bit of bitterness of the roasted malt. we added some malt that gives you a bit of kind of ashy, this kind of dried bitterness in the flavor, and I really like that in the porter. So you can have like aftertaste if you wait long enough. It keeps like nutty, but it gets a bit more bitter, more kind of serious thing. You know, I really like it. And we worked hard on it, and I think we did a good job. I hope the people like it. I'm not the only one, and you that like it.
No. I'm pretty sure that people will like it.
As I said, I'm not here to sell. I want to talk to you so you can comment if you like it or not, and it will be really cool.
We're waiting already for some comments.
And if you have some questions, I can answer.
Food-wise, which kind of food you recommend to that kind of beer?
Well, hey man, it's for me, this beer is two things, yeah? Yeah. One is really nice bar pub thing, yeah? You order a pint or two, you have a snack, you know, the peanuts, yeah, or the corn or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is for sure some sweets, maybe based on chocolate or cinnamon or, you know, nuts, and something that can really complement with it. I don't think some sour sweet will be good, but something that can complement with sweet, with this sweetness of this beer and nuttiness would really work. Or otherwise, just give me a pint. Yeah, for me. Yeah.
We get a lot of positive feedback, so people are really enjoying it. So no, they're really happy. No, people are really happy. So there's coming, congrats, cool stuff, you know, well done. A question which came up a little bit earlier was from Dominic. What are your visions when it comes to Bevog? So what is the vision?
I don't know. What in this Corona time, it's really hard.
Forget Corona. It will be. Hopefully, it will be over soon, and we will get back to normal.
Wish to develop our production more in a sustainable way. So that's one of big things that I'm working on, trying to figure out how to make it more sustainable and that it would still be possible for us to make, because, you know, new technology, new investments, it's not easy on small companies. And for sure, to make more research already in our own lab, what we can do, what we want to do. You know, we have already now pretty cool equipment to analyze our beer. We have PCR. By the way, I asked if maybe with this COVID shit, because PCR is a machine which detects microorganisms on DNA basis. And I asked to our community if they maybe need, or if it would be needed that we can maybe samples from, tongue and nose from people to see if they have this COVID, because we have this machine. So we check what we have in beer on DNA basis. And if we would have a primer to compare DNA with COVID, we could say if someone is diseased or not. So we have pretty high-end stuff in the brewery. It is not because we have surplus of money. It is because we want to be safe, and because sometimes even supplier of yeast cannot work 100% clean, and we already had contamination because the yeast was contaminated. And when you have to pour away, I don't know how many 1,000 cans and how many 1,000 liters of beer and bad reputation and everything, we decided to buy this special equipment to monitor what is going on. So now we have, this is really state-of-the-art technology that we can check what kind of organisms we have in our beer. And this is really cool tool, and we rejected, for instance, when we get yeast in-house, we check it. If it's okay, we use it. If it's not, we refuse it. So yeah, it's not cheap, but on long term, if you keep customer happy, I think it's the most important. Not just from the money perspective. It's, I want to be fair. It's as it is. And we work hard to give, when we release something, the best possible thing, and we don't want to make any shortcuts or whatever. And you know, these tests, they are pretty expensive, not just the machine, but also each test. And we make 2 tests every batch. And we have any complaint maybe from someone, yeah, something is maybe weird or whatever, make a phone call from the importer, I don't know, from Italy or
Austria,
Belgium or Austria, whatever. We can go with data. We keep also our archive of all the beer. So we have beer for last 3 years, approximately 3 years. We take beer beginning of the filling, middle of the filling, and the end of the filling. So if something is wrong, we can detect what is wrong. On cans, we now have also we have a lot. And if maybe someone calls us, hey, we had a problem with mold. It was some kind of weird mold in, or it is not good. We can go to our system, search the lot number of the can, and we can make a recall if something was wrong. Or we can check whatever was happening with this beer, detailed fermentation and everything, you know. So we want to be very professional here. But as you know, I'm not, I like to be very crazy. So we want to keep it crazy, but professional. So we are not fooling around with people, because...
But it's good to know, you know, for most of the people, that you're really professional, that you're really taking care of the quality, because the people which are listening to us, but especially to you this night, these are your fans, your consumers, you know, and so it's really, really important.
You know, one of the reasons was I said immediately yes, because for me it's sometimes hard to say all this stuff, because I'm not a guy who would be like influencer on, yeah, we are doing this and that. Okay, we publish something on the internet, on like Facebook or Instagram, but I know we could maybe sometimes make a better job to explain to people what's going on. But when you have the real people talking to you and you can answer to the people, and everybody is really interested, it's the best thing, you know.
I completely agree, you know, and that's why this format is so popular at the moment, you know, because people enjoying it, sitting in their living room or somewhere else, you know, listening. They can ask questions and we will give the answers. And then especially when you get a guest like you, you know, which is really transparent, really open, then it's perfect. Then it pays overall. So Rolf is back again, and he's asking if the new coconut porter will be a core range beer. So will it be available all over the year, not only for Rolf, for all the people which are listening at the moment?
Yeah, it's actually new year rounder. So all year, all the time. By the way, it's made with organic and fair trade coconut. It's the same with chocolate and vanilla for us. And this is also, sometimes we don't say this, but I like when we are fair to each other, and fair trade and organic stuff. I think it's important when we are looking into our lives, and when we will look back what we've done. I think it's important that we also take this kind of stuff into account. So yeah, it will be year round, and with the real coconut. And it's a lot of work with this coconut, because we toast it. It's manual work. We take these two big pots, you know, from professional kitchen supplies. We take 2 mixing things, and then we mix. It's 4 people working about 8 to 10 hours this day to toast all the coconut. And we have done the sample of the coconut, how it must be toasted, and then we get a certain amount of toastiness into this beer. So it's not just pour some more, I don't know, more. Nah, it's pretty hard.
Handwork.
It's hard work. It's really work, and it's very good hands.
Veronica is
but
asking,
we will keep it in year round because also this nitrogen technology, it's not cheap. Sometimes I'm afraid I live too much in the clouds, okay? And we buy that kind of shit, but yeah, I rather drive my old car and invest into company than buying a big shiny car. You know my car?
I
It's
know
a
your
legendary.
car. I know your car. It's a legendary car. Veronica is asking, but keep it a little bit short. Are you experimenting with yeast by yourself? So you're playing around with some yeast strains?
I mean, if we're kind of catching it from the environment.
Oh, Veronica, you mean from the environment, or if he's experimenting with yeast?
For sure, yeah, a lot. We have small fermenters in the brewery. We sometimes then just take a bit of work to see what's going on with this yeast. Sometimes just want to see what's going on with hops, but that's always kind of just getting the information what's going on. You know, it doesn't matter almost doesn't matter what kind of wort we will use, just to see what this yeast will bring to the table, and then we start to develop recipe from there. For instance, for Hana, we did that. So we took wort from, I think, Deeds or something. I think it was Deeds. And then we put this yeast in 2 different fermenters, different temperatures. We have very small fermenters, but all is temperature control. And then we did, I think, 6 or something like that, different ways and pitching rates. And then we figured, okay, that's kind of cool. And then you make a wort, and that's it. Like for Hana, another beer that is, yeah. Hana could be one of my favorite beers that we've ever brewed.
Okay, there's a question from Stefan. Your 3 favorite beers out of your own brewery. So Hana is one of those?
Hana, that is Hager, then it's Totem, then I really like our
it's 3 beers.
export. That is, yeah, it's called, now it's Dortmunder, but we will call it a bit different. But it's Helles Export is and the style. I really love this beer. We've put so much effort into it. And then, you know, it's really hard to say which kid is your favorite, but
yeah.
As much as work we've done, but not just work, it just how everything just came together. That's it, man. I don't know. This nitro is crazy good. I like all of our core range beer because we were always tweaking it so much. Some is like more favorite. It's really hard to say, but yeah.
Flo is asking, is it possible to make a nitro home brew?
It's pretty easy, actually. You need this siphon, okay, like a chef thing, or to make cream in the restaurant. You know what I mean? And I have it somewhere at home because
it's old soda siphon bottles.
Siphon,
yeah, soda siphon, yeah.
Yeah, soda siphon.
Yes.
You put it in, but you need nitro. This nitro.
For cream, for Schlagovers.
Yeah, but nitro version.
Yeah, for Schlagovers.
Put it into fridge, into refrigerator, and it works. But you got to be careful. Don't put 2 or 3 of these
Patronen.
Patronen, yeah. It can fucking explode.
Okay.
So maybe one you try, then maybe not full enough, maybe 2, and then stop. But you maybe wait a few hours then that it can combine, and then you can pour. It will not be the same as like a draft version of the nitro or this version of the nitro, but you will get this whole. But first, you don't want to have too much CO2 in the beer. So if you're making homebrew, don't first carbonate and then nitrogen. No carbonation and then nitrogen.
Okay. Teresa fragt, which yeast you're using for Hana?
So it's not widely available. It's a variety that is actually from bank of Y yeast. I cannot say which.
Okay.
It's very similar, for instance, to Högarden. And the Högarden is another story, if anyone want to hear the story. Högarden was actually the beer that took me into craft beer. Mm-hmm. So I was in Belgium in 2008. And I was there in a fair of optical electronics. That was for my parents' company. And me and my co-worker, after a flight and underground, arrived near our hotel, and we saw our hotel, but we were passing one bar. And what you do when you come to near the bar and you see the hotel, you go to the bar. And in the bar, I asked for 2 beers. And the waitress asked, what kind of beers? I said, I don't know, what do you have? And she said, yeah, you want a white or dark or what? I said, you're white, because I thought white means pale beer. At that point, I didn't have any clue about beer. I know beer, I drank it all the time, but it was not like my main thing. And she brought 2 beers with a lemon on top, completely cloudy, hazy. I tried it. I was like, what the hell is that? I tried again. It's like, okay, I'll give it another try. Try it. I love it. And it was Högarden. And I remember it was the time I could not make a shot of the glass to have what is the name of the beer. But I wrote it as a draft into SMS of my old Ericsson. Yeah. And whenever I went to a bar, I just showed the Ericsson. That's what I want, because it's weird to read Bevog. Yeah? And that's where I started. And to me, also my first homebrew was wheat beer.
Okay.
And I was always in love with wheat beer. But yeah, sometimes you gotta wait 10 years that your real love really comes out. So now it's here.
It's cool. And we're happy that it's available again.
Sure, man. It's
so Vasja, there are so many questions coming in at the moment, but we're already talking about 2.5 hours, you know. Maybe I can ask you to maybe you find some time tomorrow or tonight to go on our Facebook site and see some questions, and maybe you can answer, or someone of your team can answer, because there's questions coming up. If it's possible to order 20-liter kegs online and things like that, you know, and some fermentation questions. So it's really up to you, you know, but I would say it's more or less enough for now. So
okay.
Me personally, I really enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure that most of the people, or all of the people, really enjoyed this evening. It was a special evening because you were in a really good mood. You were really, really transparent. You were representing the brand as it should be from the owner, you know, so we can feel the passion, you can see the passion. And I'm pretty sure that all the Bevog fans are happy. So I would say the last word is coming out now. Tell something to the community, tell them something, and then
It's the most.
Fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy I could talk to you. I mean, to me that means a lot. It's kind of weird. I don't see you, but sometimes it's even easier to talk to people when I don't see them. I know that's kind of weird, but that's me. Yeah, there are really a lot of things that sometimes I would really like to explain to people, but I just don't know how, and I don't find enough time to write everything on social media and stuff like that. I even regret that, but yeah. Life is just one, and you can just work as much as it's possible. You know, when we started, I could work 28 hours literally a day. I mean, altogether, sleep a few hours, go back to work. It was crazy time. But then I realized just my body is just not taking it anymore, you know. So it's like I'm not in the brewery and everything, but I'm still working a lot. Just my brains are working. Also in that time, I added some of really cool co-workers. It's really cool to work with some of our guys. I mean, all of the team. It's not just me, it's the whole company is like Bevog. It sounds maybe like something that must be said all the time. Yeah, everybody's the part of the company, whatever. It's really like we have special communication with each other. We have to be warned by ourselves. Yeah, we got to work and have less fun. But whenever we are working, we are really serious. So because I want that we are serious, because I want that you get the best we can do, and we are trying the best. That's fact. I don't want to lie. Sometimes it's hard for me because sometimes it would be easier to lie, but okay.
But especially, I can say when it comes to business, you're never lying because you're always reliable, you know, and that's the most important thing. So thank you again, Vasja, for this really special night and for this special new beer, the Nitro Coconut Porter, which we had in this tasting, which was wonderful, tasty, fabulous. So,
don't drink it from the can. It's the only
can.
beer you should not drink from the can.
That's the point. Und ich sage wieder danke fürs Zuhören, danke fürs Dabeisein. Und schon morgen habe ich eben, wie schon während der Verkostung angekündigt, die Ehre mit dem Karl vom Blackstock 7 Cider zu verkosten, was sicher ein großer Spaß wird. Und dann nächste Woche geht Schlag auf Schlag. Wir haben Brewage am 21., am 23. O'Hara's und übernächste Woche am 29. haben wir den Besitzer von Left Hand aus Colorado, Chris, zu Gast. Auf den freue ich mich ganz speziell. Ich sage in diesem Sinne, drink at home, gute Nacht und danke fürs Dabeisein. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal.
Bye bye, danke schön.
Tschüss.
Tschüss.